Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Time to talk some Kamen Rider Gavv. So over the weekend we got a new poster that showed off some of his new forms, his like early ability forms, and then we got an even better look at them in this little video that showed off the driver, and we get to hear a bit of the driver's sounds. I don't think like the full sounds, but at least some of them. So I wanted to talk about my thoughts on it. First of all, starting with the driver, I mean, we've seen the driver already, but now we kind of get to see how it works, which we could kind of guess. Like, overall, the design of the driver is fine. It's weird because I think that the kind of like frog mouth look of it has personality to it, but also looks a little boring. I just kind of wish it had a little more going on in terms of the design, or maybe some different colors going. I do actually quite like the gimmicks, to be honest. I know they're not this, but they look like I know it's not this, but it looks like someone dropped them in a mud puddle. These are my livelihood! But I know that they're not this, but they do look like little milk cartons to me, like little milk carton monsters, and it's just really funny to me. It just reminds me of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man like minis coming to life in the Ghostbusters movies, but like little milk cartons. But I do honestly like them. I think they're funny, I think they're unique. Even though I do like the design of the chemis, I kind of like these more just because I like that they're tangible little gimmicks and they just feel a little more unique than, hey, let's try to do a Pokemon clone part 347. And I just like them. I don't think I'm going to buy these just because we do hear the sounds, and I don't think it's bad. You know, this is obviously for kids. It's kind of more of a, like, little mini monster voice. It's not the full-on crackhead Kyoryuger or Gokaiger, the voice I hate, but it's kind of like a mini baby monster voice. I just prefer the cooler voices, and again, I know it's for kids, but, like, I'm more willing to pick up a driver like the Geats driver stuff, the Desire driver, I know. I don't want to get on Max Lead. But that one had a cool voice, not to mention liking the show, so I wanted to pick it up. But for this one, I just don't see me wanting to pick it up, especially after I jumped the gun on Gotchard, where I was all excited because I was in a rider mood and I liked the design and I thought the cards coming back was cool. And obviously, you know how that turned out with the show. And also, again, I've mentioned this before, but my driver was busted. So I might try to get my hands on one or two of the little guys just because I always have this tradition of, even in a series where I don't collect it, I always end up with at least one of the gimmick, and I do dig them. But yeah, there's that little monstery voice. We'll see more of the jingles in the future. I'll be curious to see if maybe other ones, or maybe other upgrade ones, like upgrade monsters, have different monster-esque voices, and how the upgrades work, but we'll have to see. But the main news is honestly the power-ups. Like I said, we gotta look at it in this poster, which I'll do a split screen. I don't know how that's going to do. Looks like I was praying, but we'll do that first. But we got a little mini look at them, but then we had kind of a look that showed like which gimmicks they correspond to and a more full look. And obviously this being like a gummy candy-based series, they're all based off of gummy candies. Like you have this first one that's chocolate-based, which honestly I'm looking at them right now, just it looks pretty cool. It kind of gives me, I don't know, hope or whatever. I don't know about hope, like I'm really hoping for it, but it kind of makes me want us to do a Brown Ranger finally outside of Void Knight Brown Edition, because I feel like they veer away from that color a lot, kind of like it took us years to get Violet and Orange. I get it, like Brown's not as appealing, but it's crazy that in a like literally decades-long history for Sentai, they've never really done anything like that outside of Void Knight or Geizorg or whatever. But yeah, this one looks pretty cool. It looks like a Kabuto-esque rider there. And then you have this lollipop one, which is much more of a bulky one, kind of making me feel like, I don't think it's going to be this scale, but reminding me of like the Suika Arms type stuff, or X-Aids like super form or mid-series form or whatever. Feels like a more situational one where they're going to want to have a big one. Heyo. But I don't think it's also one where it's only CGI, which is kind of nice, because it looks like it's a physical suit, so we might actually see it more, because sometimes they do have those big forms like Suika that they pull out maybe like a half dozen times and then you never see again because they got to use CGI budget for it. Then we got my personal favorite one, which is the marshmallow one. Like, it's very simple. Again, coming back to the Stay Puft Marshmallow stuff, like, I don't know. I know I use this word a lot. I'm self-conscious about it now, but it has a lot of personality. I just really dig it. I feel like if it was a different character, it would just be like the lovable brute character, and I just really love it. This might be the only one I try to track down a figure for, even if I don't like the series. And then you have like a honey-based one, which also looks like it could be a Kabuto rider. And that one looks pretty cool. It looks pretty badass, to be honest. And I gotta say, I love these forms. I mean, Gavv's main form, like I said, was very inoffensive. Like, I've seen, again, so much hate towards it, and it's like, dude, this is the most safe option for a writer. It reminds me of that painting in the episode of Parks and Rec. Like, it's not doing anything crazy different. It's not going back to classic roots. It's just like, yep, that's a Kamen Rider. But these, I think, are far more creative, and I really do like the fun vibe of it and the creativity of it. Now, I'm very nervous about the series just because, as you know, I've not had the best experience with Gotchard. And, you know, it's a kid show. I know it's supposed to be fun and stuff. But if it's going to be like Gotchard or a little bit more too silly, it's just not going to be for me. And if it's anywhere in that territory, like I said, I think that's probably going to be it for me, as I just don't want to talk about and watch something I'm just really not enjoying. Again, Too early to judge, but I'm just kind of remaining cautiously optimistic because this could end up being a series that's so quirky and fun that it's, well, fun to watch. Or it could be something like Gavv, where it's surprisingly intriguing despite its very silly looking gimmick. So we'll have to see. My hope for the forms as well is I do hope they handle them better. You know, I've definitely been a broken record with my complaint over the early ability forms just shotgun debuting because they have to get them out, and that's just something I have to accept. But I definitely hope they don't do it like Gotchard. Like, I'm all for doing things a little bit differently, but the way they debuted them was so weird. Because like with these, for example, like, let's say you debut the chocolate form, right? In episode 3. Then in the next episode, we would debut Marshmallow for like 4 seconds, and then at the end of the episode, they would finish it with the chocolate form. And I kind of like, in a way, that was a little bit different, but at the same time, I feel it undercut the debut of the ability form, and usually the main reason for getting these in an episode is because they have a specific ability for that, and the fact that they were debuted on top of each other, plus that mixing, I think made them more forgettable. So I hope they find a way that these don't just kind of feel like throwaways. Like, just a balance would be nice, and maybe keep it a little tighter. Tweak like a toiga. Like, maybe just a few more, don't go crazy with them, because that's the thing with Gotchard too. I love the Gotchard designs. I think all of the ability form designs were great as well, but if I'm going to be honest, they debuted so many of them, and so back to back, I can only think of like the red one, and the hawk cactus one, and then the fire police one off the top of my head, and I know there was more, and I know I liked them, but they wound up being kind of forgettable, which is kind of weird because I did really like them, so I'll be curious to see by the time this series ends if I remember these. Remember it. But overall, I am honestly liking the designs, but I'm remaining very cautious and scared. I just hope the series is good, and to have a protagonist that doesn't drag the show down for me. But what are you thinking? Are you liking the design and creativity of this, or is the childish nature putting you off? Let me know in the comments as always. And I do want to say, my last little comment here, and I hate to sound like an old back in my day, I do miss when Rider had its own mood. Like, this could be like Gavv, or maybe not even Gavv, and have a really fun poppy tone, but actually have an intriguing plot. But I do miss when Rider and Sentai had a distinct mood from each other. I feel like it's all one blob of the same colorful show now, which, you know, again, I know it's for kids, but back when I first started, even in series like when you had Denno and Geki Ranger airing next to each other, they had a distinct mood, and I just missed that because it made you feel like you were watching something different, where now it just feels all the same. I don't know if you guys feel similar about that. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications from all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.